No one expects betrayal to walk in wearing the same face they once trusted, or to find love twisting into something so warped it could split a family straight down the middle. A wife's kiss, a stepson's smirk, a house built on lies. When the truth finally showed itself, it didn't knock. It shattered everything in its path. Thank you to my faithful subscribers. You're the reason I keep sharing these stories from real life's deepest scars. Make sure to turn on notifications and hit subscribe if you haven't already. It helps bring more raw, honest, and unforgettable stories to light. My name's Richard Lawson, 57, born and raised under the wide Texas sky, now living just outside Nashville, Tennessee. Spent 3 decades building homes for other folks before realizing I hadn't truly built one of my own. Linda, my wife of 25 years, was the kind of woman who could calm a storm with just her voice. Kind, graceful, never raised it unless she was reading aloud to kids in her 3rd grade classroom. Her son from her first marriage, Travis Carter, came into my life when he was just 7 years old. Bright kid, big smile, bigueur attitude. Took a while to break through that shell, but I did my best to raise him like my own. And then there's Emily, our daughter. My pride and joy. She had her mama's heart and my stubbornness, a combination that could either melt a room or set it on fire, depending on the day. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. At least that's what I thought. Until things started to shift in ways I couldn't quite explain. Most houses don't fall in one loud crash. They creak first. Hairline cracks show in the corners. Doors don't shut the same. The structure weakens before it collapses. That's exactly how my marriage began to break. At first, it was little things. Linda grew quieter at dinner. Her eyes didn't meet mine the same way. When Travis came to visit, she lit up, brighter than I'd seen her in years. He'd been working in Florida, chasing success, chasing women, chasing everything his father never gave him. I didn't blame him. I admired him, actually. Helped pay for his first car. Helped him get into college. Always called him my son, even though blood said otherwise. But something about those visits started to feel off. Linda and Travis would share long talks on the back porch. I'd walk in and they'd stop talking, like I interrupted something. Sometimes, I'd hear her laugh in a way I hadn't heard in years. At first, I chalked it up to guilt. Maybe I hadn't been giving her enough attention. Maybe she just missed having Travis around. Still, it gnawed at me. Then there was the trip to Atlanta. Linda told me she wanted to visit her sister for a long weekend. I didn't think much of it, packed her bag for her, even gave her some extra cash. Travis happened to be in town that same weekend, passing through on his way to a real estate convention, or so he claimed. Something about that timing didn't sit right with me. I asked if they'd be meeting up. Linda smiled, almost too quickly, and said no. Just coincidence, honey. It wasn't. Found out later, through a friend, that they were both seen at a fancy little hotel in Midtown. Not once, but twice. Together. Late at night. Laughing. When I confronted Linda, she acted like I'd lost my mind. Said people mix up faces all the time. Said she wasn't even in that part of the city. But her voice wavered when she said it. And Linda's voice never wavered. From then on, every glance between them felt loaded. Every silence was louder than any argument. I remember one night, we were watching a movie, just the 3 of us. Travis had stayed the weekend. Linda curled up on one side of the couch, Travis on the other. I went to get popcorn, and when I came back, they weren't touching, but it felt like they had been. That kind of tension doesn't lie. Still, I told myself I was imagining things. Who would believe it anyway? A woman sleeping with her own stepson? It sounded disgusting. It sounded impossible. But cracks kept showing. Funny how betrayal doesn't need a shout. It whispers, quiet enough to make you doubt your own instincts. I saw it. I felt it. I didn't want to believe it. But belief doesn't change the truth. And the truth was coming, like a freight train with no brakes. The line between family and stranger can blur when trust begins to rot from the inside. That weekend, just after Linda's so-called trip to Atlanta, things started to feel dangerously off balance. Travis stuck around longer than usual. Said his job gave him remote flexibility. That sounded harmless on paper. But his presence in my home grew heavier each day. He'd wake up late, shirtless, and walk around like the king of the house. Linda laughed it off, saying he was just relaxed here. But relaxed wasn't the word I'd use. One evening, I got home early from a supply run. The house was oddly quiet. No TV, no music, just silence. I headed toward the kitchen and heard soft footsteps from the hallway. Then a door closed. Not slammed, just gently shut, the way someone might do when they're trying not to be noticed. My feet felt heavier than usual as I walked toward the source. Linda emerged from the laundry room with a folded towel in her hand. No laundry basket. No clothes in her arms. Her face was flushed. She smiled too quickly. "Oh, hey, babe. You're home early," she said like everything was fine. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Later that night, I checked the hallway. Travis's door was locked. He never locked it before. Dinner conversations became uncomfortable. "Mom made the best chicken tonight," Travis said, wiping his mouth, eyes glancing at her a second too long. Linda gave a soft laugh and touched his arm. "He always loved my rosemary chicken growing up." I tried to smile, tried to ignore how her hand lingered too long, how his eyes didn't move away. "Yeah," I muttered, forcing a bite. It was good. It felt like I wasn't even there. A few days later, I called in sick to work, just a gut feeling, the kind that knots you up inside and won't let go. Linda had already left for her school. Travis said he was working from home that day. I stayed in my truck a few blocks down, waited. At 10:32 a.m., Linda's car pulled back into the driveway. Not school hours. Not normal. She walked in through the side door. I waited. 30 minutes passed. Then an hour. Finally, I walked in. Didn't knock. Didn't say a word. Their voices came from the living room, quiet but close. I stepped in and saw them on the couch. Not sitting like family. Sitting like something else. Linda jumped up fast. "Rich, what are you doing home?" Travis didn't move. Just sat there like nothing was wrong. "Shouldn't you be at school?" I asked, voice low, controlled. I forgot my planner," she stammered. "Thought I left it here." Her hand was still on her knee. She didn't move it right away. Travis spoke. Calm. Too calm. "We were just talking. Nothing weird about that." I looked at Linda. She couldn't meet my eyes. That night, I didn't sleep. I laid there with a woman I no longer recognized beside me. Her breathing steady. "Mine shatters." I stared at the ceiling and asked myself a question no man ever wants to face. What if your home isn't yours anymore? 2 days later, I decided to test something. I told Linda I was heading out of town for a quick overnight trip. Claimed I needed to meet a contractor in Memphis. She nodded, barely looked up from her phone. Said she and Travis would keep each other company. I kissed her forehead and left that morning, but I never went far. Parked 2 streets over. Stayed with a buddy nearby. At 9:48 p.m., the house lights dimmed. At 10:12 p.m., Travis's bedroom light turned off. At 10:18 p.m., Linda's did too. At 10:41 p.m., they turned back on both. Side by side. That told me everything. The next morning, I walked into the house like nothing was wrong. Coffee brewing. Linda humming in the kitchen. Travis walked out of the hallway wearing my old college sweatshirt. "Sleep okay?" I asked him, watching for a flicker of guilt. "Yeah, slept great," he said, grinning. Linda turned away to fix the eggs. I watched her shoulders rise and fall, and in that moment I knew she wasn't mine anymore. There's something uniquely cruel about being betrayed in your own home. The same walls that once held laughter now echoed with silence. And every smile from Linda felt like it came with a lie tucked beneath it. Whatever was happening, it was real, and it was only going to get worse. A man can only ignore what he sees for so long before denial begins to rot his soul. That next week, the air in the house grew colder, but it wasn't the weather. It was the quiet shifts, the unfinished sentences, the eye contact that no longer lasted. Every word they spoke felt rehearsed. Every laugh shared between them felt like a secret they refused to say out loud. But the worst part? I still wanted to believe it wasn't happening. Linda stopped reaching for me at night. Conversations were shorter. Her phone never left her hand, and she started sleeping with it under her pillow. One night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to use the bathroom. On my way back, I noticed her phone screen glow faintly beneath her pillow. Curiosity, or maybe desperation, got the best of me. I lifted it gently. Locked. But just as I went to set it back down, a message popped up on the screen. "You were amazing tonight. Same time tomorrow." It was from a contact named T. No full name, no emoji, just a sentence that hit like a punch to the gut. I stared at it, frozen. My chest felt like it might split wide open. Linda stirred beside me. I placed the phone back, stepped into the hallway, and leaned against the wall. Travis. There was no doubt now. The next morning, I didn't say anything. Not right away. I sat across from her at the breakfast table. She looked up and smiled like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't destroyed everything we built with a single choice. "I might swing by the school later," I said, testing her. "Surprise you with lunch." Her eyes flickered for just a second. "Oh, you don't have to do that." "Why not? Tomorrow's a heavy grading day. I'll probably be locked in all afternoon." She was lying again, and this time I wasn't going to sit quietly in my own silence. That afternoon, I called Marcus. He was the one friend I trusted enough to open up to, the same guy who stood next to me at my wedding, the godfather to our daughter who had long since moved out for college. I told him everything. The messages, the looks, the instincts that wouldn't leave me alone. "You need proof, Rich," Marcus said over the line. "Cold, hard proof. Don't confront them until you have it." I didn't want to spy. I didn't want to play detective in my own home. But I needed the truth. So I bought a small recording device online. Something subtle. Something that could sit behind the bookshelf near the living room couch. The same couch I caught them too close on a week before. I placed it late that night after everyone went to bed. And then I waited. Voices you can't unhear. It only took 2 days. On a quiet Thursday, while pretending to go on another day trip, I activated the device before heading out. My stomach churned all day like it already knew what I was about to hear. That night, after everyone went to bed, I retrieved it, sat in my garage alone, headphones in, and I pressed play. At first, it was quiet. Small talk, casual comments. Then the tone shifted. Linda's voice. "You're making this too hard, Travis." Travis's voice. "You don't stop me, though, do you?" A soft laugh. Then silence. Then a sound I can't even write out without feeling sick all over again. Moans. Whispers. Words I never imagined would come from the woman I married. "Linda, he'll be gone for hours. Don't stop." I stopped the recording there, threw the headphones across the garage, and then I cried. Not like a man, like a child, like someone who had been gutted from the inside and didn't know how to breathe anymore. Torn between fire and ice. The rage was immediate, but so was the heartbreak. I wanted to storm inside, grab them both, and throw everything to hell. But instead, I sat in that garage until dawn, trying to decide how to end a life I never thought would shatter. Linda didn't just cheat. She chose him, her own blood. Over me, over us, over the years we spent building a home, a marriage, a future. And I couldn't understand how. Was it love? Lust? Control? Or was it just another broken part of her that I never knew existed? The house may have still looked the same from the outside, but inside, it was ashes. And I was standing in the middle of it, alone, holding onto a memory of a woman who no longer existed. No scream could match the one I swallowed that morning. By sunrise, I had listened to the full recording twice. Every word, every laugh, every sickening moment. It etched itself into my bones like acid, and yet, I didn't explode. I didn't barge in and shout. I didn't pack a bag or start throwing things. No, I went back inside, made coffee, and stared out the window like a ghost pretending to be a man. Linda came downstairs not long after, robe-tied, her hair in a messy bun, humming like nothing had ever happened. "I might need to leave early today," she said, kissing my cheek. "Principal's meeting." I almost laughed. Instead, I nodded. "Sure. Hope it goes well." She smiled like it was just another morning. Like she wasn't sharing her bed with the boy I helped raise. The young man I took fishing. The same one I used to toss a baseball to in the backyard. Travis. Even thinking his name made my hands tighten into fists. I couldn't do it that night. Or the next. Something about betrayal, this deep, numbs you before it enrages you. But on the third night, I sat Linda down at the kitchen table. "Where's Travis?" I asked, keeping my voice even. She blinked. "He's staying over with a friend, I think." "Why?" "Funny. I figured he'd be with you." Her smile faded. "What's that supposed to mean?" I pulled out the recorder. placed it on the table. Press play. I watched her face shift, from confused to pale, then ghostly white. Her hand trembled, and she looked away as the sounds of her affair filled the quiet kitchen. I didn't shout. I didn't curse. I gave you everything, I said. I loved you more than I love myself. And you gave yourself to him. Her voice broke. I never meant to fall in love with him. I snapped. To crawl into bed with my stepson? To lie every damn day. Tears came, but not enough to wash away what she did. I was lonely, she whispered. You stopped seeing me. I felt invisible. So you turned to him? Silence. And that silence said more than any confession ever could. I told her I needed space, that I wouldn't make any decisions yet, but I couldn't sleep in the same bed. Couldn't pretend anymore. Travis didn't come home that night, or the one after. Turns out, Linda had called him. Warned him. Coward. He sent me a message. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't expect to fall for her. I'm sorry. Sorry? He ruined everything. And he was sorry? 2 days later, our daughter, Anna, came home from college for the weekend. She walked into the tension like a lamb into a minefield. What's going on? She asked. Why is Mom sleeping in the guest room? I didn't answer at first, but she knew. She looked at me, then at Linda, then back at me. Please, she said, don't tell me. She already knew. Her hand flew to her mouth before the truth left mine. When I nodded, she turned on her mother with fury I'd never seen. How could you do this to him? To us. Linda cried, but Anna didn't stay to watch. She left that night and didn't say where she was going. Another piece of our family gone. I started breaking down after she left. Not in front of Linda. Alone. In the garage. In the shower. In my car. I wept for the man I was before all this. For the love I gave that was thrown into someone else's hands. For the life I thought I understood. But more than anything, I grieved the years I'd never get back. You don't just lose a wife in betrayal. You lose the version of yourself that believed in her. The truth was out. The affair exposed. But where do you go when the people you trusted the most become the ones who hurt you the deepest? Do you fight for the memory? Or do you let the ashes cool and start walking away? People think the hardest part of betrayal is the moment you discover the truth. It isn't. It's the quiet after. The days that follow, when the phone doesn't ring, when the house is too still, and the person you once kissed goodbye every morning feels like a stranger just 2 rooms away. It's the slow death of a dream you lived inside for years. And for me, that dream was my family. Weeks passed. Linda and I stayed under the same roof, but the distance between us was miles wide. We barely spoke. No dinners together. No laughter. No shared shows on the couch. Only silence, and the occasional sound of her crying through the wall. I like to say I found peace quickly, but that would be a lie. Healing doesn't come in straight lines. It shows up like waves, sometimes crashing hard, sometimes quiet and slow. Some days I hated her. Other days I hated myself more for not seeing it, for trusting too much. And then there were the days I just felt nothing at all. Travis finally reached out in person. He asked to meet at the park, neutral ground, I suppose. When I arrived, he was already sitting on a bench, looking like a man who hadn't slept in days. Thank you for coming, he said. I sat, said nothing. He cleared his throat. What I did was wrong. I know that. I've played it in my head 1,000 times, and it never gets any better. I stared at him. You slept with my wife. He winced. You lived in my home, ate my food, called me dad, for years. I didn't plan it, he muttered. That makes it worse, I said. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A long, repeated choice. He looked down at his hands. I don't expect you to forgive me. I'm not here to forgive you. Silence fell again. But this time I wasn't holding rage. I wasn't even shaking. I was tired. Tired of carrying a wound someone else carved. So I stood up, looked at him one last time, and said, You're not my son anymore. You made that choice. Live with it. And I walked away. Linda didn't fight it. When I told her I was filing, she cried, begged for therapy, pleaded for another chance. But some things, once shattered, don't piece back the same. Trust, respect, sanity. She signed the papers quietly. Didn't ask for much. Didn't try to argue. And in some odd way, that hurt too. like she knew deep down the damage couldn't be undone. Our daughter came back for the hearing. She held my hand the whole time, said she was proud of me, but I saw the pain in her eyes too. The pain of losing not just a mother, but a family. She said she was still in contact with Linda, though, and I told her that was okay. She's still your mom, I said, just not my wife anymore. Anna nodded, crying softly. I don't know how to make sense of it all. Maybe you don't have to, I said. Just remember who you are. And don't CA. It sees the truth and chooses loyalty anyway. That's what I gave. And what I'll give again, someday, to someone who deserves it. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. If you've ever been betrayed, please know you're not alone. Pain like this doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. Remember to subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this channel if this story touched you. More true and powerful stories are on the way, because sometimes healing comes from the stories we share. Until next time, stay strong, stay honest, and never settle for half the love you deserve. That's the Yindi.